People of the universe, welcome back to the Who Even Are We podcast with Pat and Taylor.
Hello, hello.
This episode today is sponsored by coffee, and that's what's going to get me through today's episode because we had a storm and a husky keep us up.
Yeah, it was a rough night.
My goodness, man. She was, she trips me out. She used to not be afraid of storms at all.
She wasn't afraid of them until we moved here.
What changed?
The elevation. I don't know. We're closer to the storm. I don't know.
So we don't really get storms that often here,
Yeah.
comparatively speaking to Memphis.
Yeah.
When we lived in Memphis, we get them all the time.
Once a week, it felt
And
like.
maybe that could be it. She may have just got used to them. Like it sounds like a car's crashing 24/7 outside.
Well, and like, I know that dogs will learn behaviors from fellow dogs. And Oso, I want to say, used to be afraid of storms. He probably still is. He just can't hear them.
Hear them anymore.
So, like, I'm thinking that honestly, Nala has fed off of that all these years, and she's like, "This is something we should be afraid of." So, like, I'm scared.
So Nala usually sleeps in the bed with us, and especially when it storms, her favorite thing is to jump, sit on her butt between us, and pant
And stare at us.
and stare. So 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning last night, I look up and there's a husky staring at me.
Yeah.
Which might be terrifying, but you get used to it.
I mean, it's not terrifying when it's your own dog.
And then she lays down and pants, and then you put your arm over her to try to comfort her, and then she keeps moving one of her arms, and it's like, dude, it's 3 in the morning. Can you please go away?
Yeah.
Last night she hit the gate, so I remember now. So in our room we have a dog gate that will just wedge in the door frame to keep our dogs in our room because we used to have a problem with Oso wandering at night, which he probably still would, and then he would pee on the floor. So we started doing that to just keep him in there because unless it's a really bad emergency, he probably won't pee on the floor.
Well, I thought we did it because it gets so hot in our room.
And then that's part 2 of that. Our room also gets really hot, especially in the summertime. So
Keeping the door open allows for airflow.
yeah, until we bought the window unit this past year, we literally had to turn our AC down to 65 at night.
Yeah.
And you'd
we're
wake
still
up and
hot.
it's freezing in the rest of the house. So window unit has helped a lot.
Yeah.
Either way, welcome back to this episode of the Who Even Are We podcast. We hope you guys enjoyed the Tuesday edition, Valentine's edition of the podcast, where we read our wedding vows. So in typical Thursday tradition, I have a icebreaker question for you to ask. And that is, if you had to give up chocolate or Crystal Light, which one would it be?
That's a not fair question. I guess it would be chocolate.
The reason she says that's not a fair question is because she doesn't drink normal water. She has to have Crystal Light to drink water. And so, yeah, to her left, there's a canteen of a reusable water.
A Walla bottle.
A friggin'
Water bottle.
thermos of Crystal Light.
Yeah.
It reminds me of how Bert Kreischer has Kool-Aid in his. It's like, that was
I've seen that clip.
yeah, with him and
Well,
Tom Segura.
So I can't do plain water unless it's 110 degrees outside. Like, it literally makes me want to throw up.
Couldn't be me. I drink water like it's going out of style.
So I put in my 40-ounce bottle, I put 2 packets of peach mango Crystal Light, and I have done that for the last
Literally since I've known you.
2013.
So
My
longer.
freshman year of high school. My freshman year of college.
I was like, how old are you?
I've had the same flavor. So, and I'm still pretty new to the coffee game. I get it every once in a blue moon. Most people have their coffee in the morning.
Me.
I have my caffeinated peach mango Crystal Light.
To each their own. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I know it's Crystal Light, but I don't think about that because usually I'll have my water bottle with me and it will have water in it. So I'll run out of water and be like, I need a drink, and I'll grab yours and take a sip. And when you're expecting water and get Crystal Light, that's quite a shock to the system.
I could I think I'm the one keeping Crystal Light in business.
No, a lot of people are like that. Keys is like that.
Okay.
She
I
can
did-
drink regular water, but she prefers the flavor.
In my defense, so I have tried to find. They used to have a non-caffeinated version because when I drink this, I want to go to just I want to say plain water, but like water without caffeine because I don't need to be consuming 4 to 6 packets of caffeinated Crystal Light.
A box. Some people smoke a pack a day of cigarettes. She drinks a pack a day of Crystal Light.
And so I've recently switched to when I finish that, I will have the what is that other bottle called?
Circle bottle.
The Circle bottle, which still has flavor in it, but it's not caffeinated.
Some of them aren't caffeinated. There are some that are.
Okay, well my intention is that it's not caffeinated. I don't know which one I have. And then I'll have a soda at dinner.
Yeah.
And look, all of you who argue and say that it's not water, I'm still alive and I haven't had plain water in like
Well, you have, just not every day.
6 months.
So chocolate. Chocolate is the one you give up. I couldn't.
Well, I'm thinking like there's caramel. There's
Caramel's
other
good.
stuff.
There's toffee, fruity stuff.
I don't know.
Chocolate is the one you give up, folks. You heard it here first. So, the topic of today's episode, just kind of jumping right in.
I feel like I should do one for you.
Oh, I mean, if you want to, go for it.
Trying to think what your vices are.
Well, you know one of them.
What, vaping?
Yes.
Yeah. But your answer is always going to be, I can quit anytime I want. I've quit it before.
Yeah.
Would you rather me go back to dipping? That's not the question.
Yeah. Just to add some context to that, I used to chew 3 to 5 cans a day of, well, not chew, but I used to dip 3 to 5 cans a day of Copenhagen wintergreen. So,
Vaping or coffee? And when I say coffee, I mean like your Monsters.
yeah, I know.
Your
Coffee, period.
fake coffee that comes in the carton.
I drink iced coffee. I'm a Californian at heart. I'm a Valley White girl at heart. So there it is. Probably coffee, because I also enjoy tea. So you can get your caffeine from tea too.
I feel like hot tea is more beneficial, but you don't drink hot tea.
I will drink hot tea. I just don't care for hot beverages. Like unless it's like
That's fair.
stupid cold out, I won't drink hot beverages. Because like I got sensitive teeth.
So you're that hooked on that vape, huh? You'd give up coffee?
I mean, the realistic answer is I should probably give up the vape.
Yeah.
But
'Cause we still don't know.
that'll happen eventually.
Yeah, because we still don't know the side effects of that.
So if I don't have the vape, I have the Zenny bars. We're good to go.
Just trade one thing for the next.
One vice for the next vice. Either way, don't matter. There's other ways to get caffeine, and actually, you're not supposed to have caffeine within the first 90 minutes of waking up. That's what causes the afternoon crash. They actually recommend drinking. This is a post or a study I read. They actually recommend drinking like 8 or 16 ounces of water first thing in the morning, and then after 90 minutes, which by the way is an hour and a half, so
Yeah.
not that bad. That's when you should drink your coffee, because your body is fully up and functioning at that point, and then you won't experience that midday crash. But I also drink water a lot throughout the day, and water is really the best energy that you can get. Believe it or not, it does a lot of beneficial things for your body.
I actually don't think I drink my Crystal Light until 2 hours after I wake up.
Well, there you go. There's your 90 minutes. You've passed the test.
Well, I've also started taking B12 vitamins, which I think is really helping, actually.
Yeah, because we don't need as much red meat anymore. Context for that is after getting my gallbladder removed in 2022, red meat does not like me.
Yeah, so
And
we're
having IBS too. But
we are the reason if chickens ever diminish, it's because of us.
we eat a ton of chicken, which is better, to be honest, because it's better for you. I was always told the less legs something has, the better it is for you. Chicken does not have a lot of fat on
Fish
it.
don't have any legs.
Yeah, so fish. That's why fish is one of the best meats for you. So chicken is good for you.
Let me just cut the legs off of this cow real quick.
I mean, I'll have red meat every once in a while because you have to have it. It has B12 in it, which is B12 is what gives you energy. And I'll never forget working at the vape shop, which we mentioned in the Val's video. Excuse me, Val's podcast. There was a point in time where we were selling B12 vapes, like you would vape B12 vitamin. And like people would come in and be like, does this really give you energy? I'm like, let me ask you something. Do you eat red meat? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, it's not going to do anything for you. They're like, why? And I'm like, because red meat is a great source of B12 vitamin. And I wouldn't say that to like shoot them down. I was just trying to be honest with them. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to sell you something that's not going to benefit you. If they came in and were like, yeah, I'm a vegan or a vegetarian, I'd be like, yeah, this would be a good option for you. We'll give you that B12 vitamin. I mean, there's B12 vitamin in a lot of things, but red meat is just a really good source of it. Wow, that's a tangent. Well, so you give up your chocolate, I give up my coffee, and yeah, here we are.
And we're both miserable.
And we're both angry and miserable. But the topic of today's episode, jumping right into it. So Taylor and I, we are sports people. I would say subjectively, I probably follow more sports than you do.
Oh, you definitely do.
But the one sport that, since we got together, we've always agreed on and we love is baseball.
Yep.
We are one of those weird people. We got to mention him. So talking to Matt the other day, he's a football fan, a soccer fan. Before we were playing the other night, he was watching a game, and I was like, oh, who won? He was telling me about it. I know a little bit about soccer, but I've never followed like the Premier League or MLS or anything like that. So I told him that. I was like, I could never get into it. I just could not get into a 90-minute game where there's going to be one goal scored.
And he can't get into baseball.
And he can't get into baseball. And I was like, so a lot of people don't like watching baseball on TV because they say it's boring. That's soccer to me.
Yeah.
And like golf, because golf is fucking boring.
I feel like unless you know all about the game and you have your own team and you have like a player that you like, it's going to be boring no matter what sport you watch.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying soccer is boring.
Yeah, no. But I'm
like
just
soccer is one of the biggest sports in the world. Obviously, it's a lot of people love it. I don't watch soccer. It's just me. Sorry, weird noise came from outside. We both looked. Yeah.
probably a cat.
Probably. I agree. No, that's a good viewpoint is unless you have a team and a player or just like, you grew up in a place where soccer was the big thing. Like,
Yeah. Because, I mean, Trevor played soccer for a long time. And he was really good at it.
I was very good at soccer too.
Couldn't be me. It's too much running.
So when I played soccer, I was a forward. So I was a forward for the first half, and then the second half I was put in goal. Because I was a very, very good goalie, but our other goalie was also really good. And so I would go score 3 or 4 goals, and then he would put me in net just to ensure the win. And I had a pretty good soccer team. I think we did pretty good every year. I remember my first year playing soccer, my last game, somebody on the other team flipped me off. And I looked at the ref and I was like, ref, he flipped me off. The ref didn't do anything, but it's kid soccer. Who cares? That's just a memory that stuck out. But no, so for us, we are the one sport that we both can really get into is baseball.
Yep.
I freaking love baseball. You love baseball. We don't necessarily love each other's teams, but we love baseball.
Well, it's like, when you and I first met, I was pretty hardcore into like the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Now I couldn't tell you the last time I watched a game. Granted, my favorite player retired, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Future Hall of Famer Yadier Molina. Yadier Molina. Yadier Molina.
Number 4, the catcher.
Future Hall of Famer.
He retired, and I'm just like, well, I don't know any of these other guys.
Like Paul Goldschmidt is a stud.
Yeah. The players get tossed around so much. It's hard to keep track of who's on the team anymore.
The game of baseball has changed a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
But, yeah, that is one of my favorite sports to go see.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would say, like, going to a baseball game is more entertaining than watching one on TV.
Yeah.
which
That's
I
with
can
anything.
understand that. But I'm a baseball nut to where I can sit there and throw a game on TV and get into it. One of my favorite things to do when we go to our local baseball team's games is call balls and strikes. I am a backseat umpire. Love it.
I love getting play-by-plays of the game that I am actively watching also.
I got to be my own commentator sometimes.
I'm like, yeah, I saw that too. You don't have to narrate.
Yeah, but it's fun because like there'll be a questionable like there's a pitch that's like right on the zone. And I'm like, if we're at bat, I'm like, that was outside. That's a
But
ball.
See, I also
But
hate that because we're not.
Then when we're
sitting
pitching,
behind.
I was like, that's a strike.
But like, I also hate that because we're not sitting where the ump is sitting, so the ball's gonna look different.
True, but I don't know. I love watching a good baseball game. It's so much fun. We've been to some good games. We haven't seen our local team lose yet, which is kind of nice. Every game we've gone to, they've won.
They've gotten started on the new stadium, by the way.
They have.
Mhm.
I did see that.
There's like not the walls, but like the walls, like the what are those called? So what you put in rebar.
There you go.
There it is sticking up.
Gotcha. So they're forming.
Yeah.
They're starting to form it. Yeah. So our local team, they just got approved for and it's a minor league team. We should throw that out there. If you do any research, you can find out about it. But they got approved for a new stadium, and I was very, very, very happy about that. I actually there was some opposition to it. I think a lot of people wanted it, but there's still, of course, there's going to be opposition. And I remember I wrote something that was published on one of the news pages,
Yeah.
like on their website, just explaining like how this will benefit the community more so than hurt. And before I go much further on this, I should mention that the reason we're talking about baseball is because pitchers and catchers reported on the 12th. So spring training is officially upon us. This is going to be a tough baseball season for me, I think.
Yeah.
So I am an Oakland A's fan. The Oakland A's are no longer a thing. They are just the Athletics now. They don't have a city to go with, even though they're playing in Sacramento. And I've been an A's fan my entire life, and my team left.
Yeah.
Fuck John Fisher. That's one time I'll say it, the rest I'll say FJF. So when I wrote that article for wrote that article like I'm a publicist or a reporter, but when I wrote that thing for the newspaper, I mentioned that like, hey, take it as somebody whose team is leaving the city they grew up in. This will hurt the community. Like I'm on the Oakland A's Reddit, and there's still people like, somebody saw John Fisher at some random event, walked up to him and said F you to him for moving the team. Like, because you got to think about all the stuff that Oakland has gone through. They lost the Raiders. They lost the Warriors. And Oakland doesn't look at it like the Warriors just moved across the bay. They looked at it like they left Oakland. The community that supported them through a lot. Because I grew up a Warriors fan too. So I've seen the Warriors be last place in the league. I've seen them win the NBA Finals. So that was tough, and now the A's are gone, which sucks.
So talking about our local team, I'm excited for the new stadium, but I'm also like, I really liked the location of the current one.
Yeah.
It's really convenient. Because you can
right off
kind
the
of
highway.
like the Redbirds in Memphis.
Yep.
So it's in the middle of downtown. You're within, which I don't know if I would recommend this in Memphis, but you could just park and then walk everywhere.
Yeah.
Get food. There are several restaurants around. And
Which-
the same thing with our local team.
That's how the A's were.
So it moving to the other side of town, like I don't know.
I
What's
personally
around.
think so. That part of town where they're moving the stadium to is kind of seeing a renaissance right now.
It's going to really help that part of town.
It's
for
going to
sure.
help that part of
Yeah.
town a lot.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like I said, there is a bit of a renaissance going on there. There's a lot of developments, a lot of new restaurants, and they're trying. So basically, the part of town they're moving into was where a lot of like mills were back in the days, like steel mills, wood mills, all that. I think a lot of the reason why people were upset by it is because their previous stadium is still up.
Yeah.
Like it's still
Being
standing.
Forgotten. about.
But the reason it's still standing is because it's a historical landmark.
Yeah.
Negro League teams played there.
They filmed 42 there.
They filmed 42 there. At this point, we should just say it's the Chattanooga Lookouts, because like you can look that up and see where it's going. But yeah, the movie 42 with Chadwick Boseman, who is one of my favorite actors, rest in peace, was filmed here in Chattanooga at that. I think it's Emmets Field. Or no, Ebbets Field was where the Brooklyn Dodgers played.
I don't remember.
Or Abbott's, I can't remember.
It'd be cool to go see.
I've driven by it a few times. I've never actually like gone and checked it out, but it is a historical landmark, so that's why it's still standing. And so where they call it South Broad, because it's south of Broad Street. That South Broad district is seeing a huge renaissance right now. Like we went to the Christmas parade there a few years ago, and there's a lot of stuff going up there, so I think it's really going to help that part of town out a lot. And it's going to do a lot of good.
Yeah, that's why they do the Christmas parade and stuff down there. It's to give local merchants that boost.
Oh, yeah.
During the holidays. So.
And I mean, it's not a bad, like, it's not really a bad area. No. I think it was, but with the gentrification that's going on right now, I think it's helping that community more so than hurting. And it's not just going to be the stadium either, because they're doing a lot of development over there. They're obviously going to do the stadium, but there's also going to be
a lot of space out there.
Yeah, they're going to be. It's obviously going to be the stadium, but there's also going to be. I think they're putting up apartments over there. They're going to be putting up restaurant and retail space, so it's going to be a big development.
Yeah.
Again, benefiting the South Broad district of our city.
Do we know what they're going to do with the current stadium? Is it going to go to the college or?
So UTC does not have a baseball team.
Yeah. Oh.
That's why the Lookouts and Chat State, the community college, are playing, because Chat State has a baseball team. Which also, again, really cool that the Lookouts are doing that for Chat State. It's to help benefit their baseball program. All the proceeds go to their baseball program. So that's something I've really enjoyed about the Lookouts, is they really are ingrained in this community. Like, people love the Lookouts here. Like, I remember I was downtown one day just wearing my Lookouts hat, and I think you were there too, and somebody was like, "Hey, did you see the game yesterday?" I was like, "I followed it, but I didn't see it." They're like, "Who won?" And I was like, I think the Lookouts did. And they're like, "Yes." To me, it just feels like a smaller market team, and that's what the A's are, or were. They were a small market team, and it sucks that they're gone. And at some point in today's episode, I'm going to read a post that I made on Reddit about them moving. I posted at the end of last season. It was 7 days before our wedding, because I read the post a minute ago. But no, I think that's where I've been following a lot now. I don't really follow the MLB as much as I used to.
I don't either.
It's been more MILB, minor league baseball, and college baseball. Yeah, college baseball is a blast. Like, it sounds weird, but I love watching college baseball.
UCF.
So, she says that. So, I'm an Ole Miss fan. I love Ole Miss. That's my team. But we don't pay for cable, so I can't watch Ole Miss baseball. So, whatever Hulu shows us is the games that I watch. And the first season I really got into college baseball, it was a lot of UCF. So, by proxy, I root for UCF.
I think we're accidentally UCF fans now.
Just for baseball season, but still an Ole Miss baseball fan.
And then
primarily.
Didn't we end up driving by it by accident when we were in Florida?
It's in Orlando, so we were in the area.
Yeah. We're like, oh, we're going to see our team.
I mean, it wasn't baseball season, but it might have been cool to go to the campus and see where they play, the place I've seen on TV 1,000 times. Yeah. They have a really good baseball program though. They develop a lot of people who go on to have good baseball careers. But no, for me, the reason I started getting into college baseball and really following the minor leagues is because, like, okay, Shohei Ohtani, Bryce Harper, just throwing names out there, like studs. Like, they've earned their paycheck. Mm-hmm. And that's great, but I like to see the underdogs. I like to see the guys who are coming up the minor league system fighting to be in the show. That's what I enjoy. And I actually knew a couple people who were in the minor league system, and I followed their stats pretty closely. There was a guy I went to high school with both of them, but one of them was playing on Double A for the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers, and I was like, or he was playing in Single A for the Timber Rattlers, and their Double A team was a team in the South League, which is what the Lookouts are in. And I told him, I was like, hey, if you get called up to Double A, let me know, because if you guys, if you're in chat, I'd love to come see you play.
Yeah.
I'm gonna root for the Lookouts, but love to say what's up to you, whatever. He ended up unfortunately getting cut, so he's playing in a developmental league somewhere, which is cool in its own. And then the other guy, I think he's not playing baseball anymore. If we compared it to something, it's like the NFL. So we were watching Last Chance U again, and there's a part of that show where it's like they ask one of the coaches, how many kids out of 100 think they're going to the NFL, and the coach says 100, and then they said how many actually will, and he said 1.
Yeah.
And that's the truest thing, because the NFL is a very, very, very hard league to get into, and it's hard to get into. Number one. Number two, it's hard to stay in it. Number three, most people's NFL careers are like a year and a half long.
Yeah.
They don't last long. And with baseball, you got to think. So with baseball, you have players from all over the world, which in football you do too, but not as much as baseball has. So you have people from all over the world. You have like the Dominican leagues, the Canadian leagues, everywhere. There's baseball everywhere. And then let's say you get drafted in the MLB draft. You have Single A short season, Single A advanced. You have the arena leagues in Florida and Arizona. You have Double A, you have Triple A, and then you have the show, the majors. There are people who have been in the farm systems, they call them, their entire career and have never been called up. There's people with 10, 15 years in the minors and maybe get called up once. So it is very, very hard to get to the show.
Well, that's why it's such a big deal like that. So I didn't grow up with him because he was younger than me, but him, one of our old neighbors that Trevor used to hang out with, I've sent you the post a couple times where he's moving on up. He's going to...
He got invited to spring training.
Yeah.
Which is a big
deal. For the
deal.
Dodgers, and the Dodgers
Huge
just...
deal.
They just won a World Series, didn't they?
They won the World Series, yeah.
So, that's a huge deal. Well, some kid from small town USA, my neck of the woods.
Yeah, no, he... now, being invited to spring training is a big deal.
Yeah.
Will he make the 40... He might make the 40-man, but the Dodgers have one of the biggest payrolls in baseball. For him to make the show on that is going to be hard.
Yeah, and he's like mid-20s.
He's really going to have to put together a good season.
Yeah.
Because you got to think. Look at one of their number one guys. Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
A household name. Clayton Kershaw, household name. They got some studs, but at the same time, here's the thing you can look at too. He's going to spring training with those guys. He can learn a lot from those guys. It's hard to bring up baseball without bringing up Trevor Bauer. I follow some of his YouTube clips, and what happened to him it breaks my heart for the guy. So Trevor Bauer was on the Dodgers, a stud, like a great baseball, still is a great baseball player. He got accused of assault, which serious accusation. And to make a long story short, and please take this with a grain of salt and do your own research because I don't know the whole situation, but it was determined that it was a setup. There were text messages that were leaked between the person who accused him and a friend of theirs, basically saying, like, you're going to do this and you're going to walk out with bags of money. So he was proven innocent, and nobody in the MLB will give him a shot. So she essentially and he didn't countersue or anything, to my knowledge. I think he is now, rightfully so, but he played in the Japanese league for a year, did well there. He played for the best team in Mexico last year and did really well there. But yeah, I mean, just destroyed his career, and he deserves another shot in the pros.
Yeah,
like
he didn't do anything wrong.
And the crazy thing too is like like I said, he posts YouTube videos and he takes accountability for his actions. He's like, yeah, I like this rough, but like, I never did this.
Yeah.
And so I really hope that he gets another shot in the big leagues, because the dude I'll put it to you like this: if that didn't happen and he was still in the show, he'd be more than likely a Hall of Fame candidate. He is a great pitcher. So, he lost out on millions of dollars over that. And granted, if it was proven guilty, fuck the guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I feel. Like, if he was proven guilty of doing that, then yeah, fuck him. But he wasn't. And it's the politics of sports. It's how is this going to affect our brand image, which I get, but at the same time, the dude's innocent and he's putting up numbers still. So either way, kind of got off on a tangent. You were talking about somebody your brother went to school with who got invited to spring training.
Yeah, he lived in our neighborhood.
That's crazy. Similar story to that. I growing up in the Bay Area, I was big A's fan, big Giants fan. Not a Giants fan anymore. Go Cubs. I remember having my glove and my ball with me, and I was going to go meet up with some friends. We were going to go play some catch. And I'm walking by this house, and I'm wearing a Giants hat and my Giants Little League shirt. And this dude stopped me and goes, "Hey, are you a Giants fan?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "My son he plays for the Giants." It's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, my son plays for the Giants."
Aw.
And I was like, "What's his name?" And I'll say his name in a minute. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." He's like, "Yeah, he's in the minor." This is before I understood what the minor leagues were.
Yeah.
He's like, "He's in the minors right now, but he's making some noise." His son was Nate Scherholtz, World Series champion, who won a World Series with the Giants.
That's awesome.
And I met his dad, and his dad was a very nice guy. Had an old Porsche that was badass, but he lived literally right across the street from me. A friend of mine, huge Ace fan, I remember one day he shot me a text and was like, "Matt Chapman is at my restaurant right now." And I was like, holy shit. I brought his order out to him. I was like, that's crazy. And then one of the craziest stories I've had, being in the Bay Area where I lived, I'm sitting working at Target. I'm a cashier. There's a lane between us, and then there's another cashier with a guy named Kyle, huge A's fan. And, we hit it off. We were both A's fans, so we would talk about the A's. Kind of a slower afternoon on a weekend. I hear my name called out. It's Kyle. He's like, "Pat," and he points. And I look over, and it's Billy frickin' Beane. And I'm just like, and I look at him, and he's doing the same, the wide eyes, like, "Oh my God, please come down my lane. Please come down my lane. Please come down my lane." He went in the lane between us. So that was a cool thing to see was Billy Beane. But, moments on the field too. Like, is there, I know you've been to a bunch of baseball games, AAA, AA, a few Cardinals games. Is there a moment that sticks out to you, like your favorite moment from a game you've seen?
Not one particular moment. So I've been to like the NLCS game, one of the NLCS games,
Which is crazy.
And I don't think I'll ever experience something like that again. Like,
Electric.
Crazy. And it was, it was the Cardinals, so a pretty big team.
Cardinals are their fan base is very diehard.
Yeah. So that was super cool. And then of course, I grew up in Memphis, so we have a really good AAA
The Redbirds are
baseball
a
team. Yeah.
very good system.
So like that's just what you would do. Like you had college nights where you would go get in for discounted price. You have these nights. So like
minor league baseball is what keeps baseball alive.
I love Redbirds. I miss Redbirds games. Like the lookouts are fun, but it's nothing like. And it's just because they're bigger.
We went to one Redbirds game. They played the Iowa Cubs. Of course, the Cubs lost. I've seen the Cubs AA and AAA affiliate play, which is cool. From lookouts games, one of the coolest people we have seen is a household name in baseball now, Ellie De La Cruz. For those who don't know, the Lookouts are the AA team for the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah.
We saw Miss Bird. That guy was so funny. He was a great ball player, too. I don't know what happened to him, but they had a guy named Bird Tenarowitz who was a stud,
Yeah.
really good ball player. We've seen a lot of good ball players, but Ellie was probably the coolest one. We've seen him hit a home run, which was wild.
I will say another really cool game that I've been to is every season they do Battle of the Birds. So the Cardinals come down to Memphis, and it's the Redbirds versus the Cardinals, and that's a super cool game to go to.
And you got to think, those guys playing in AAA are good enough to play in the pro. In
Well,
the show.
Honestly, when you go to a Redbirds game, there's no telling who you're going to see because they swap in
They
and
rehab,
out so
yeah.
often.
A lot of guys will rehab in the minors.
Yeah.
So you'll see like Yandier, I can never say his first name. Molines was rehabbing in Memphis while we were there.
Yeah, so I mean, there's no telling what you're gonna. I went to that game with my mom. I took her for her birthday. I think it was a lot of fun. And then, of course, growing up in that area and being a choir kid, I sang the national anthem a few times.
That's cool.
There, so yeah.
So if we're talking baseball memories, I'm going to read the post, but I did mention a few in there. I think my favorite memory from a baseball game that I've been to, I've seen some really cool moments. So you were talking about the NLCS and the electric atmosphere. The A's and the Yankees have a big rivalry because people call the A's a farm team for the Yankees. All the good players either go to Boston or New York, one of the two. And so in 2012, we had a really good team, like a really good A's team. And I went with a friend of mine named Jackson. His uncle took us to Game 4 of a late summer series against the Yankees. We were up 3-0 in the series. It would be the first time we had swept them in years. Some people I saw play in that game, Coco Crisp. Or not Coco Crisp. God, I just blanked his name. There are some good players, but two players that stood out to me that I have got to see play live baseball, Derek Jeter and Alex Rodriguez. I used my old phone. I had a zoomed-in picture of Derek Jeter at bat, so I got to see a legit Hall of Famer play. A-Rod hit a foul ball that landed 5 rows above us, which was wild, which I'm going to throw that out there too. I've never caught a foul ball at a baseball game. Come very close several times, never done it. But then I talked to everybody and they're like, I have, and I'm just like, must be friggin' nice. I've never. So that was a really cool thing to experience, and we ended up sweeping them, and Oakland Coliseum went frickin' insane, which was awesome. The thing about Oakland fans is they are some of the nicest people you'll ever meet until we get into a game. We are diehard. And so with that, I want to read this post that I made just after last year ended. I posted this on Reddit 148 days ago to the Oakland A's Reddit, and it said, "To Oakland. To be honest, I have tried to make this post several times in the past. I have typed it out over and over again and typically end up deleting it. As the final week of the season closes in, so comes the end of baseball in Oakland. I really wish this wasn't the case. I wish we could be going to Howard Terminal, as I'm sure many of us do. I wish we could have found new ownership that wanted to keep baseball in the East Bay. I never thought the last game I went to would be the last game I'd ever see at Oakland Coliseum, or as I usually call it, OCO. I wanted to take a second to reflect, and truth be told, this is going to be a long post, so if you choose not to read it, I understand. As a kid who grew up in the East Bay, I was fortunate enough to spend many summer afternoons at Oakland Coliseum with friends, family, summer camps, youth groups, etc. It was a staple of my summers, as the A's have been my favorite team for as long as I remember. I have sat all over the place there, from the nosebleeds all the way down to right behind home plate. I stand by the statement that there is no experience like riding Bart to the game, walking over that bridge, with all the musicians and people selling merch, scalpers, and of course, fellow A's fans, and the chants of "Let's go Oakland" ringing out, all of it. I know everyone says their fans are the best in sports, but nothing beats Oakland fans. I stand by that. You see, Oakland is a town of blue-collar, hard-working people, and its fans are no different. During my life, I've been fortunate enough to watch games with amazing people, and I think that I've been fortunate enough to watch games with some amazing people, and I think that was one part of the experience I'll never forget. As a smaller market team, we may not have the following that say the Red Sox or the Yankees, But Oakland fans are different. When you would go out to the store, out to eat, anywhere in the country, when you saw a fellow fan donning their green and gold, it was almost like an unwritten code or message. I've lived all over the U.S. now, but anytime I see a fellow A's fan, it's like seeing a long-lost friend, and getting to talk about our favorite A's memories is something I've always enjoyed. During my 28 years, I have watched many iterations of this team jog onto the field. Some really good and some not, but still, they were my team and I was proud to represent them. I've had the moment to watch some really amazing players, World Series champions, future and current Hall of Famers, and some great games at the Coliseum. I was there watching games when Billy Beane's first Moneyball team was causing havoc in baseball. It's impossible to share all of my memories, but some that stand out are watching the A's sweep the Yankees in 2012 and getting to see the likes of Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter. One hot summer afternoon against the Royals when a fly ball was caught in left field by Johnny Gomes. When a fly ball was caught in left field and Johnny Gomes made a huge throw to home plate, tumbling over himself and got the runner out at home. Watching John Lester pitch at home prior to him moving to Chicago and being a key contributor to the ending the Cubs' 108-year World Series drought. And then seeing Matt Chapman walk it off in the 10th during what would be my last game at the Coliseum. I should add a cliff note there. We actually left after the 9th, and we were standing on the BART platform and heard the cheers, and I looked it up and saw Matt Chapman walked it off. At the same game Matt Chapman walked off was the first and only time I got to take my then girlfriend and now in 7 days wife to the place where I fell in love with baseball. That list goes on. I could go on for hours about the amazing memories I have there. As this week comes and goes, I have so much more I want to say, but I don't think I can put into words how much this place had an impact on my life. As the end of this era closes, I just wanted to say to the fans I celebrated with, to the awesome staff who sold me anything from a hot dog to a jersey, to the countless number of players and coaches, for everything you've done, for all the memories, through the good and bad, and the ugly, to everyone but John Fisher and Rob Manfred, as I call him. He's the commissioner of baseball. Thank you for everything. I love you, Oakland. Thank you for everything. Sincerely, a kid from the East Bay. FJF. Yeah. Lots of really good memories there. Lots of really good memories. It's funny, the only memory I have from the Giants Stadium was seeing Barry Bonds play. That tells you how long it's been since I've been to a Giants game. Barry Bonds was on the Giants before he broke the home run record, all roided out. But, yeah, I've got to see some really cool players play the game there.
I had to look it up because unfortunately I couldn't remember his name. I remembered it started with a T, but I remember that at the time, one of the best players on the Cardinals team was Oscar Taveras, and us watching the game that we watched him in the NLCS was like one of his last games because he ended up getting killed in a car accident.
That's crazy.
He was 22 years old. And I don't know why that sticks with me. I'm just like I saw.
That's
this
like
was one of his last games alive. It's crazy.
That's like the kid from Miami, Jose something. I can't think of his name. But he was killed in a boating accident, and he was a stud pitcher for the Marlins. I can't think of his name, but somebody in the comments let me know if you know who I'm talking about. But no, how could you not love baseball? It's a true quote. I mean, there is a lot of baseball is a romantic game, and it is a very hard game to play. I've seen games where it was gridlock 0-0, and then bottom ninth somebody hits a home run.
I don't think there's anything like baseball fans. Like baseball fans versus football fans, it's different. They're different.
Well, you got to think football is a game of inches. And I, as a football fan too, I could talk about my love for football till the end of days, but really baseball is one man versus how many? 9, 11, I can't even think. Mm-hmm. It's one guy versus 9 trying to say I'm better than you.
Yeah.
And vice versa. I mean, I've seen some really great baseball games. I've seen a bunch of walk-offs, which is crazy. I remember one of the last Lookouts game we went to, they steamrolled the Rocket City Trash Pandas. I've seen games where it's bottom 7th and we're down 3-0 and somebody hits a grand slam and we go on to win the game. It's anybody's game at any given moment. There's a lot of legends in baseball, and we talked about the movie 42, and one of my traditions is every year on Jackie Robinson Day I try to watch that movie just for what he did for the game, breaking the color barrier, and just people talk about Jackie like he is like the most phenomenal player in the world. In reality, he was a good player, but he was not like he wasn't on the level of somebody like, say, Hank Aaron or Mickey Mantle, just to name a few. But his name is synonymous with baseball for what he did for the game, and that's why his number is retired. Jackie Robinson Day is probably one of my favorite traditions in sports. Truth be told, it's just what it stands for, what Jackie stood for, what that man went through to be what he is. Like, it's quite crazy. I mean, and that's something too, like, I remember when we got together, when I met your grandfather, who, like we've talked about before, is no longer with us. He was a big Yankees fan, huge Yankees fan. And I know that's one thing we really wanted to do was get him to Yankee Stadium, and we'll get him there eventually.
Yeah.
In one way or another, we'll get him there. That's one of my dreams, is to see all the major league fields. Wrigley, Fenway, Yankee Stadium, some of the legendary ones. Of course, we got to go to Busch Field.
Busch Stadium.
Busch Stadium.
Gorgeous. And there's a lot of free stuff to do in St. Louis, which is great.
Let me ask you this, because obviously you want to see all the national parks. I want to see all the MLB stadiums. What stadium do you look forward to the most? And that's obviously not Busch Stadium, because you've been.
Yeah, I've been. I think that Yankee Stadium's going to be an emotional one, because I really, really wanted to get him there.
Yeah.
But by the time that we had the means to do so, his health was already declining so much that we didn't know how we would get him there. I think that one's going to be a nice one to go to. To be honest with you, I don't really know many stadiums. I think the historical ones will be cool to go to, but I don't know which
Wrigley,
ones they are.
Fenway, Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to Wrigley. Wrigley's going to be a lot of fun just because, again, I'm also a Cubs fan, and I'll tell that story really quick. So in 2014, when the Giants won their last World Series, I was living in the Bay Area, big Giants fan, and I kept having people call me a bandwagon fan. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I live here. How am I a bandwagon fan? It'd be different if I was a Yankees fan or a Red Sox fan when they won. And so that year I decided I'm going to start rooting for the Cubs. Because the Cubs, I first of all love the colors. Their history, their storied franchise. Like, why not? Why not go pull for the Cubbies? And then 2 years later, they ended their World Series drought. Which, for me, I still have a Snapchat video of that
crazy
play. I will never forget that game.
I remember where I was.
I do too.
And that, I'm a Cardinals fan. Cubs are the rival. But I remember watching that game. That was insane.
I think the important thing to note is the Guardians, then Indians, also had a big World Series drought. Theirs was 80 years. But, it was, I remember that Chopper hit up the third baseline, and I can't think of the third baseman's name. Anthony Rizzo? Rizzo's the first baseman. Third baseman runs up on it, gets it, throws the ball to first, and I remember Rizzo catching it and just arms go up, and I'm like, holy crap. And I think that moment was so iconic and so something I'll never forget is because there are Cubs fans who had lived their entire lives. All they wanted to do was see their team win a World Series, and they didn't get the opportunity, and we were lucky enough to see that happen. I remember videos being posted like, this is a beer from like 1975 that me and my dad said that we would drink when the Cubs won the World Series. And Dad's no longer with us, so here's to you. He cracks it and drinks it, which, by the way, that beer was not good anymore. that beer probably tasted terrible, but I bet you is the best beer he's ever had. And I remember seeing people go to their loved ones' grave sites and put Cubs gear on it because, like, this one, they did it.
Yeah.
Like, it finally happened. That was... The only thing I wish is that it happened in 2015, so Back to the Future would be right. But, I mean, that was probably one of the best moments in baseball I've ever seen.
What year was it?
They won in 2016.
Oh, okay. I was like, because I was at the 2014. Series?
They
The World Series.
They
but-
won the World Series in
Okay.
2016. You know, so many great players on that team too. We mentioned Anthony Rizzo, David Ross, John Lester. So many amazing players, and just to see that happen, like, I haven't been in tears from a sports game very often. Usually it's because my team lost. But I'm not afraid to admit I bawled at the end of that game. I was so happy.
I mean, as a Cardinals fan, I was rooting for the Cubs because I knew how big of a deal this was for them.
It was a huge deal, and I have that video. I've saved that video. Like, I'll never get rid of that. That is a moment I'll never forget. Almost 10 years later. It's been 9 years.
There's nothing like watching a World Series game.
I just wish the Yankees would have done it this
So
past
stressful.
season.
It is so man, okay. Me and the Yankees, I wanted to fight. What the heck were they doing?
Aaron Judge fell off in that game.
And then they're like, and then he got like rewarded or something, got inducted into something afterwards. And I'm like, for what? Wasn't these games?
Yeah, no, playoff baseball in general is something that is crazy. And, you know, I got to see the A's make playoff runs. And
I think that's why I don't follow a specific team anymore, is because there's so many teams that mean different things to me. Like Cardinals will always have my heart because I grew up with the Redbirds. That's why Trevor and I became Cardinals fans to begin with, because
they're
it's what made sense.
their club, yeah.
Now we're here, and I'm like, do we root for the Reds?
I have a hard time because I'm a Cubs fan, and the Reds and the Cubs are rivals. So
Yeah. And then it's like we're also, which I don't really see myself going for Braves, but we're also in Braves country. And then of course the Yankees, anytime they're playing, they're going to have a special place in my heart. So I don't really have, I just like baseball.
you see, I don't mind Braves fans. Braves fans don't bother me as much as like Sox fans or Yankees fans do.
And I don't know how he became a Yankees fan. Like it seems so
Well,
random to me.
You got to think in his lifetime, he saw players like Mickey Mantle
Yeah.
and guys like that. You know, Jeter, A-Rod, Mantle. God, there's so many legendary Yankees. Ruth. So freaking many. I'm really looking forward to Wrigley, but I'm also very much looking forward to Fenway.
Yeah.
Fenway and baseball are hand in hand to me. Same with Wrigley. Another one I'm really looking forward to is the Rogers Center in Toronto, where the Blue Jays play.
I would love to see you as a baseball dad.
Oh, it's gonna happen. And if they want to play football, I'm gonna be on the ass.
That one makes me nervous.
Football?
Because football parents versus baseball parents are two different.
I'm not gonna be
Evils.
that dad being like, "That was a bullshit call, ref." I'll be like, "Hey, you keep your damn head up. You drive your feet. You take your ass to the ground. You understand me?"
Well, see, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like you're going to be more aggressive with football.
Oh yeah. It's a, and I don't mean this in a sexist way. It is a man sport.
I
It is-
also
you line up across from somebody and you say, "I am better than you."
think it would be a conversation to have, because putting a kid in a combat sport,
Contact sport.
contact sport, worries me a little bit.
I mean, they could get injured in baseball too.
Well, yeah, but I don't know.
It's just for somebody like that. It's just you got to really, especially at a young age, because I didn't start playing football till high school.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a savant at football. I do know some really. I don't know them personally, but I do know some NFL players, and I know a World Series, Super Bowl champion, which is crazy to me. Went to school with him for 12 years. It's very important that you teach them how to tackle and how to tackle correctly.
Yeah, because I mean, Trevor played because my mom was kind of the same way, and my dad, not really being a sports fan, could care less.
Yeah.
The way my dad puts it is he doesn't care about a sport unless we are playing it,
Right.
which is fair. But Trevor played flag football for a local team for a while, and then I don't remember if it was his 7th or 8th grade year, he actually got onto the middle school team, and then of course he chose band. Whoop whoop. Over
Makes you
football
happy.
in high school. Kind of, it was probably a relief for my mom, because like my family is a baseball family through and through. Like the family as a whole.
Yeah.
So
State champions in your family.
So it was probably a question as to if football is a good idea for young.
Again, it's just, you got to. That's, if we have a son and he wants to play football, I'm all for it, but I'm going to teach him how to tackle correctly. Yeah. You keep your head up. You hit what you see. Mm-hmm. Never lower your shoulder. Never lower your head.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot of knowledge on it, so I would trust you with that.
It also depends what position they play, because you would think that the receivers and running backs probably get more concussions and stuff. It's honestly linemen, the guys in the trenches. Mm-hmm. They get smacked every play.
Of course, I say all of this, and the one broken bone out of the both of us came from Trevor playing soccer. So
no, I don't know. I'm not going to push them to anything. If they want to play football and they decide it's not for them, it's not for them.
Yeah, like honestly, I was in all of the sports when I was like the pee-wee size, and then I was like, don't like soccer because I don't like to run. Basketball was fine, but not my thing. We did like the recreational stuff, and
it's the one pee-wee sport I never played was basketball.
Basketball. That was the one game that my dad was not allowed to come back. He ended up on the court somehow. I don't really remember it, but he was not allowed back. But the only one that I got in, the only quote true sport I got into was softball.
Softball is an intense game too.
I tried out for we play like church league, and I tried out for the middle school team. I didn't get on. So
it's hard.
I'm not a runner. And I'm aware of that, which is why I hit so well.
Yeah, no. If you can't run the bases like that, you better be a slugger.
Get that ball out there.
Your OBS and your slugging percentage better be damn high.
I think it was just something that a friend and I were like, well, let's see.
Yeah. No.
And the first thing they made us do was like run laps, and I'm like, this is not for me.
Which is, yeah, no. When I played baseball, I was a catcher for a while. I pitched, but my main position was second, shortstop, third base. That was the side of field I like to be on. I did not like playing first. Was not a fan of playing first base. I was a terrible pitcher. I remember one game I was playing in. My little league team was the Cardinals. I was pitching, and I could not stand Prince for some reason, and I really don't know why. I just didn't like Prince. I think it was one of those kid quirk things. My coach in the dugout started singing Prince, and I wind up and I struck out for like two batters, 1, 2, 3, back to back, and that was awesome.
I was always catcher, and then I had one coach that was like, everybody's going to play every position, and I'm like, I don't want to.
I told my coach, I was like, I'll play any position, just don't put me at first base. I'm not a first baseman. I cannot stretch.
And for the life of me, I don't understand why, but he kept trying to get me as pitcher. And I'm like, I am not a pitcher.
You have the build of like a softball pitcher, though.
It was awful. Also, I'm left-handed, so people trying to teach me how to be a pitcher.
That's why they wanted you to pitch. They wanted the lefty, because the lefties will throw you off.
My poor dad. So first of all, like I said, he's not a sports guy. Softball is also different because of the wind-up. Now, my mom was a pitcher. She was high school. She played softball throughout high school.
Tammy got you going. She's like, all right, you wind up like this.
Yeah, but also, like, once again, left-handed. It confuses people.
See, we gotta, if we have a daughter who wants to play softball, we gotta make a phone call to Danny. She played competitive travel softball for years. She was very good.
Yeah. I mean, Ashton was a pitching coach for a while, and she went through college and stuff. If we have baseball questions or softball questions, we have the people.
I mean, I feel like my knowledge of baseball is good enough so that I can get them going pretty good, but the sport I think I could be most beneficial to our children is hockey and football, because I also played hockey, so I understand the game.
Yeah, I don't know anything about hockey.
Speaking of hockey, the Four Nations tournament is going on right now. You don't know what that means. Nope. National teams playing each other. America played Canada last night in Canada. The Canadians booed our national anthem. We lit them the fuck up.
That's awesome.
In the first, I think, 30 seconds of the game, there were 3 fights. Canada respectively won 2 of those. But we played a physical-ass game. I remember in one of the Winter Olympics, it was for the gold, and it was Canada and the U.S., and it was like winner gets Justin Bieber. We lost, but still funny. No, hockey is an amazing sport, too. We don't necessarily live in a great place for ice hockey or hockey, period, but I feel like that's a sport you could get into.
Probably.
I need to take you to a Preds game.
I've heard they're so much fun.
Hockey games are some of my other favorite sports memories are hockey games. I grew up a Sharks fan. First hockey game I went to sat club seats right by the ice, and Ryan Clough fought a former Sharks player. He was what they call an enforcer, which means you're physical, you check a lot, and you also fight, which is unfortunately a dying breed in hockey nowadays. But Ryan Clough had a fight 15 feet away from where I was sitting, and he whooped this man's ass, and it was great. They were playing the Penguins, and we won 5-0, and that was the year after the Penguins won the Stanley Cup. I'm sure if Jessie listens to our podcast, she loves me talking about that.
I think that was the first game I've ever watched, was one of the times that the Penguins were in the Stanley Cup.
They probably were playing the Sharks, and the Sharks lost.
Jesse's house. But I am truthfully so upset that I never went to a River Kings game.
Yeah, they folded. Unfortunately, they were in the Southern Hockey League. Actually, Chattanooga has a roller hockey league, and I was like, man, if I could lose like 100 pounds, I'd love to go play some hockey. Forecheck, back check, paycheck. Will Snipe, Selly, boys. Dirty fucking dangles, boys. Quoting Letterkenny.
Yeah, I gathered that.
Anyways, baseball is a very... It's a sport that has a special place for both of us, and we're both big fans. College baseball started. Wonder if there's any games on today. Love watching some college. The thing I like about college baseball, I've told you this before, and I tell all of my sports friends about it. Like, I'm like, dude, I know watching baseball is probably boring to you, but watch a college baseball game. Because I remember watching the College World Series when LSU won it. This has a couple years ago now. Paul Skeens was on the LSU team when they won. He's a pitcher for the Pirates now. During baseball season, I'll text Jesse and be like, hey, your guy's pitching today. The crazy thing about college baseball, especially in the playoffs and the World Series like that, is they'll put a pitcher on for one pitch. They will warm up and trot out a pitcher for one pitch. I literally watched it happen. I watched an inning of college baseball where there were 9 different pitchers. That's how competitive it is.
Yeah.
So... if you guys have not checked out college baseball, if you like watching baseball, it's fast-paced. There's a lot of action in college baseball. There's a lot of good hitting and a lot of good pitching, a lot of good defense, offense. So I would urge you guys to check it out. And you're watching guys, like some of those guys will never take the field in the pros. So you're seeing probably their last time playing, which is also just crazy to watch. Because there are some studs. I mean, we just talked about Paul Skeens. The guy is a household name for the Pirates. He's also dating some chick who's like popular, like on social media or something. I don't know. But
okay.
Neither here nor there. Either way, baseball season is back. Very excited about that. Sad that the A's are no longer the A's. And I'll stand on that hill until they come back to Oakland. But looking forward to watching some college baseball. And, yeah, any closing thoughts? Any other baseball-related memories that...
Let's actually go to a Lookouts game this year.
Yes. Last year, I bought tickets for opening day. Opening day got rained out. Bought tickets for another game. I think it was Star Wars night, and we didn't go. So we definitely need to go. And that's, we'll talk about that real quick, too, is minor league games are fun, number one. Number two, the atmosphere is really good. A smaller stadium. And they're cheap.
Yeah.
They're cheap.
It's an easy date night, or like if you're in college, it's an easy night out.
You can get at the Lookouts games. I have never bought general admission there because general admission is $10 and club level seats are $12.
Yeah, like even the Redbirds, which, like we said, is a really good AAA team, you could get bluff seats, which basically you bring your own lawn chair or you bring a blanket for like $5 to $7.
And you get to be in the outfield,
yeah,
shagging balls.
Yeah, So, and the kids, like, typically it's for people who have young kids because the kids get bored and they want to run around. That's also where, like, the play area and stuff is. So,
Yeah. Fun memories sliding down the Coke bottle at what they call Oracle now is AT&T Field most of my life, so I still refer to it as that. Yeah, for those who didn't know, the giant Coke bottle in left field at the Giants game is a big slide. So that's fun. I mentioned the Rogers Center. The reason I want to go there is they have a hotel room that literally looks out over the field. So you can get the hotel, granted, it's not cheap, but your hotel is literally backed up to the Blue Jay Stadium, and like you can order room service and they bring you like hot dogs and nachos and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool.
yeah.
And there's custom seating there, so you could just sit there and watch the game. That would be a really fun way to watch a baseball game. But yeah, I'd love to get to all the major league stadiums. You've been to 2.
Yep.
You've been to Busch and Oakland Coliseum.
Yep.
I've been to Oakland Coliseum and Oracle. So
I've been past others.
yeah, I've seen.
Cincinnati.
I've never seen Cincinnati Stadium because I've never been
We
to
didn't
Ohio.
go that way. Yeah,
I've seen where the Pirates play at PNC.
that's true. Yep.
I've seen where the Braves play. We drove by that on the way to Disney.
We did.
Yeah, it was hard to see though.
Oh.
You're thinking of Louisville Slugger, the bat company.
There was some stadium over there. Anyway, it's been a long time since I've gone that route. 'Cause I don't live in Memphis anymore.
Trying to think if I've seen any other ones. I don't think so. I guess I've seen Globe Life, technically. It's where the Rangers play. Yeah, no, there's a lot of really cool baseball stadiums. The Diamondbacks have a really cool stadium. I'm trying to think of any other cool ones. I don't
Reminds
know.
me of every time we would go home. We'd pass through Jackson. Like, hey, did you know that? Yes.
Yeah, the Jackson, Tennessee used to have a minor league. The Mariners affiliate used to play there, but now nobody does because they went with a new team. So
But every time we would pass, you'd be like, did you know that? Yes. I've lived here my whole life.
either way, no, we will get to all the MLB stadiums one of these days. Tropicana would be cool down in Florida.
Oh, there's a place in New York that I know, like, my family has been. It's a town.
Buffalo,
It's called something.
Cooperstown,
Yes, that's it.
where the Hall of Fame is.
Okay, sure, yeah.
I mean, the Football Hall of Fame is in Canton, Ohio. That's closer trip.
That's where my podcast is.
Oh, there you go.
Or nearby.
Good old Canton, Ohio.
Ohio.
There's nothing wrong with Ohio except the snow and the rain.
There's nothing there.
Oh, people of Ohio love that. No, Ohio's I'll get to Ohio one of these days.
Look, when you're trying to travel from Memphis to Pittsburgh, Ohio is awful because you have to travel the entire state, and there is nothing to look at.
West Virginia was really pretty, though.
West Virginia is gorgeous.
Yeah.
That's if we go from here to Pittsburgh.
Well, we went through there when we went to Pittsburgh last time.
Well, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, it took us a weird route that time.
Yeah. Either way, we're big baseball fans.
Yeah.
Spring training's upon us. College baseball's back. The Lookouts will be back soon enough. So it's baseball season, which means I know this will make you happy. We're one step closer to summer.
Hallelujah. Somebody proved this dumb groundhog wrong.
Anyways, if you guys like today's episode, leave a like, subscribe or follow if you haven't already. All of our socials are in the link of the podcast, so check us out there. Share some of your favorite baseball memories with us, if you have any, or sports memories, period. There's so many good ones. But until next time, this has been Pat and Taylor with the Who Even Are We podcast, and we are signing out.
Peace out.